Henry Ford swiped through his tablet. Revenue, $70,000, another strong month. He let out a small smile that vanished fast. His logistics company was eliminating it again. Not that anyone in his personal life knew. Downstairs, the front door slammed. "Henry!" his wife shouted, clearly pissed. He sighed, closed the real report, and opened a fake one. Modest salary, boring numbers, from CEO to average middle manager in 2 taps. Sophia's heels hit the stairs. She stormed into his office. Even annoyed, she looked like a magazine cover. Perfect makeup, shiny hair, flawless skin. But her glare ruined the whole picture. "I called you 3 times. "Sorry, I was working," Henry said, cool and steady. "Yeah, sure," she snorted, tossing her purse onto the couch. "That little job of yours." She crossed her arms. "Veronica called. She and David just bought a place in the Hamptons." "That's great," Henry said flatly. "Not great. Success, Henry. That's what winning looks like." She waved a hand around the room. This isn't it." He said nothing. He'd watched the woman he married turn colder over the years. Slowly, a dig here, a jab there. Now it was just who she was. "We're doing fine," he said quietly. "Fine?" she laughed, bitter and loud. "David makes 3 times what you do. You really think that's fine?" Henry knew exactly how much David made. He looked it up himself. David made a quarter of Henry's income, but Henry never corrected her. "What'd you buy today?" he asked, changing the topic. Sophia perked up for half a second, then rolled her eyes. "Just a dress. For Veronica's party. Nothing fancy. Not like I can afford anything better with your paycheck." He nodded. She had no idea he controlled millions, only that small joint account she saw, just enough to keep up a middle-class act. "I need to finish this report," he said, turning to the screen. "Of course," she snapped. "God forbid you try for a promotion or something." She walked out, heels clicking hard. Henry stared at the door, then got back to work. Real work. He'd started hiding his wealth early on. At first it was a test. See if she'd love him without the money. He had his answer now. These days the lie just made it easier to see who she really was. His phone buzzed. A message from Kellen, his business partner. "Meeting with Japanese investors moved to tomorrow. Need you there. Big deal." Henry replied, "Got it." Sophia would moan about another late night. He didn't care. Her words stopped mattering a long time ago. A crash echoed from the kitchen, glass breaking, then a curse. He shut his eyes for a moment before heading down to see what she broke this time. That night they sat at the table, takeout in front of them. Sophia had refused to cook. She scrolled her phone, making little grunts of disapproval. "Veronica got a new car," she said, turning the screen toward him. "Some flashy SUV, her sister grinning next to it. Must be nice having a husband who actually provides." Henry kept eating. "Our car works just fine." "Functional," she scoffed, slamming her phone down. "That's your favorite word? Functional house, functional car, functional life." She leaned in, eyes sharp. "Is that really all you want, Henry? Just the bare minimum?" He set his fork down and stared at her, really stared. Once upon a time, they used to talk about dreams, about building something real. Now, she measured success in handbags and kitchen remodels. "What would make you happy, Sophia?" he asked, voice even. She blinked, caught off guard for half a second before scoffing. "A husband who's not a broke A failure would be a nice start." Didn't even sting. Not anymore, just more proof, more data. He nodded once. "I see. No, you really freaking don't." She shoved her plate away like it offended her. "You know what it's like having my sister look at me with pity? Having my friends whisper behind my back, asking why the hell I'm still with you? Everyone knows you're stuck, Henry. Everyone. Yeah, you're a damn joke. A man who can't even buy his wife a proper necklace, let alone a life." She twisted the simple wedding band on her finger, the one he gave her when they still believed in each other. "I deserve more than this." Henry picked up his napkin, wiped his mouth slow, calm. "I've got work to finish." "Of course you do," she muttered. "God forbid you stay in the room and deal with reality. Run away, like always." He stopped in the doorway, turned his head just enough. "I'm not running. I'm just done arguing with someone who doesn't want to hear crap unless it shines." She raised her voice, bitter and loud. "No, you're done because you got nothing to say. No defense. You know you're a failure, and you can't spin that with one of your little speeches. Look around. This house, that car, our sad A life." Henry gave a quick nod and walked off, her voice still ringing behind him. Upstairs, he opened a hidden folder on his tablet and checked the numbers. The new startup he was buying was on track, another smart move, another few million added to his name. Downstairs, Sophia still thought he was a nobody. The joke had worn off long ago. What started as a test had turned into a game of patience. One day, she'd see exactly who she'd been mocking. Later that night, his car clock read 9:45 p.m. as he pulled into the driveway. The meeting with the Japanese investors went long, but worth it. They'd sealed a deal that would finally break him into the East Asian market. Big win. Years in the making. He sat there a moment, letting go of the CEO mindset and slipping back into the role of just Henry, the man Sophia thought barely kept his job. The switch was second nature now. All the lights in the house were on. Not a good sign. When Sophia was tired of him, she'd disappear early, binge some show, pretend he didn't exist. But lights on meant she was still up. And if she was up, she was waiting. Waiting meant trouble. Henry stepped inside and closed the door behind him. Unlocked again. She always left it unlocked when she was pissed. He barely got his shoes off before her voice came slicing through the silence. "You're finally home." He dropped his bags by the stairs. "The meeting ran late. I texted you." "Oh yeah, your very important meeting," she said, stepping into view with her arms crossed, silk robe pulled tight. Her face was flushed like she'd been pacing and practicing this. "What was it this time? Another nonsense project that's gonna open doors someday?" "It was productive," he said, heading toward the kitchen, just wanting water and maybe 5 damn minutes without a fight. She followed, close, breathing down his neck. "Productive," she mocked. "You know what would actually be productive? You making enough money to live like actual people." He filled a glass from the tap, turned around, leaned against the counter. "We've got everything we need, Sophia." "Neat," she snapped. "You want a gold star for barely surviving? Veronica doesn't settle for what she needs. She gets what she wants. All my friends do. I'm the idiot stuck with—" She motioned at him like he was dog hair on a couch. This. He took a sip, slow, watched her over the rim. There it was. No more passive digs. Just raw contempt. "At least you're finally honest," he muttered. She ignored that, or didn't hear it, or didn't care. "Your sister called," she said, pacing now. "Invited us to the lake house next weekend. I had to lie. Told her we had plans. We could have gone," she laughed, hard and mean. "And let them see how damn broke we are? No gift, no booze, no nothing? What, show up with a 6-pack and coupons? Yeah, great plan." She slammed her palm on the counter. "You have any idea how humiliating this is? People pity me. They ask why I'm still here. With you." Henry set the glass down gently, like if he wasn't careful, he'd throw it. "If you're that miserable," he said, calm but sharp, "then maybe we should talk about separating." That stopped her. For a second. Then her face twisted. "Oh, so that's your big move? Leave me with nothing while you disappear into one of your shell companies? F no." She jabbed a finger at the floor. "This house is all we've got. You're not taking it from me just because you failed." He almost laughed. Almost. She never once asked whose name was on the deed. Never once looked at the fine print. Assumed she owned the place because she picked the damn curtains. "I'm gonna shower," he said, voice flat. "Don't you freaking walk away from me," she snapped, storming after him. "I'm not done." "I am," he said without turning around. "It's been a long day." She followed him down the hall, ramping up. "You don't know what a long day is," she spat. "Try waking up every day next to a man who dragged you down, who makes you live like this when you were supposed to be so much more." He reached the stairs. "Answer me, damn it!" She grabbed his arm, spun him around, eyes wild now. "Say something! Defend your sorry, eh?" He looked at her hand on his sleeve, then at her. "What do you want me to say, Sophia?" "Anything!" she barked. "Fight back! Or are you really just that pathetic? Fighting you is pointless. Because you always lose," she snapped, shoving him. "You're a goddamn loser, Henry. I married a damn loser, and that's on me." He stood there, breathing slow, looked at her like she was a stranger in his house, wearing a ghost of someone he used to love. "I'm sorry you feel that way." Her scream wasn't even words, just this broken, raw sound that cracked out of her as she spun toward the kitchen. Henry didn't move. He knew that sound. She grabbed the pot, one hand quick, without thought. The water had been sitting there on the stove, still steaming, still hot enough to bite. He saw it coming, saw it in her eyes a split second too late. The pot swung hard, water flew, hissing through the air like it was alive. It hit his shoulder and chest full on, soaked through his shirt, burned straight into skin. Sharp, white-hot pain exploded across his body. Crap, he gasped, more shock than anything. Then the pain chased it in full. His shirt clung to him, fabric sticking like melted plastic. Every move made it worse. She stood there, breathing hard, pot still in her hand. "Get the hell out!" she screamed. "You broke a leech! Get out of my house! Don't ever come back!" Henry looked at her, really looked. No guilt, no panic, nothing. Just pure hate on her face, like burning him was just another Tuesday. That was it. That was the last data point. He turned, slow and stiff, pain flaring with every breath, walked to the closet, grabbed his coat, took his time. Behind him, she was still barking. "Did you hear me? I said get the hell out! You gonna limp out like a little witch now, huh?" He didn't answer, just opened the door. Cold air hit him in the face. It felt good. He paused, glanced back once. "Goodbye, Sophia." Henry stepped out into the cold, shutting the door with a soft click. In the driveway, he slid into his car, flinching as the seatbelt rubbed his burned shoulder. He started the engine and pulled away, from the woman who just hit him, from the fake life he'd kept up for years. He made 2 calls. The first was to Kellen Graves. He picked up on the second ring. "She crossed the line," Henry said. "Time to trigger the plan," Kellen replied. "All of it." Henry's voice stayed calm. "With pleasure." "Where are you going?" "The penthouse. Have Dr. Miller meet me there. I'll need him to look at the burns." The second call was to his lawyer, short and clear, orders to start the fallout. By morning, Sophia would learn the truth and lose everything. As he drove through quiet Charlotte streets to his real home, the luxury penthouse she never knew about, Henry felt no rage, no grief, just a cold focus. He had tested her loyalty. She failed. Now it was time for payback. His shoulder ached, but the pain kept him sharp. He needed to be. Sophia woke to strange voices outside her window. Men, calm, businesslike. Still half asleep, she smiled. Good. Henry was gone, hopefully licking his wounds in some cheap motel. Maybe now he'd finally grow a spine. Then she heard hammering. She got up, peeked through the curtain, and froze. 2 men in suits were in the front yard, putting up a large red sign. Foreclosed property. "What the hell?" she whispered. She threw on her robe and ran downstairs, yanked open the front door. "Hey, you can't put that here." "This house isn't foreclosed." One of the men looked up, gray hair, clipboard in hand. "You Mrs. Sophia Ford?" "Yes, and this is my house." He glanced at his papers. "Ma'am, this house belongs to Ridgepoint Holdings. It was reclaimed this morning. We're just here to put up the sign." "That's a mistake. We've paid everything on time." "There's no mortgage," he said. "It was never in your name or your husband's. Ridgepoint owns it outright. You were under an occupancy agreement." He handed her an envelope. "Everything you need's in there. You've got 24 hours to pack your things." Sophia stared at the envelope, stunned. "Ridgepoint? No. We bought this house 5 years ago." "Not according to county records," the man said. "You were just listed as an approved tenant." He walked off. She stood there, frozen, watching them finish the sign. Her hand shook as she opened the envelope. The paperwork was dense, legal, but the message was clear. She had no rights to the house. The contract had been canceled due to her behavior. She ran to Henry's office and ripped open the filing cabinet, found the folder marked House Documents. She spread the pages across the desk. There was the agreement she remembered, but it wasn't a sale. It was a lease. Her signature was there, but only as someone allowed to live there, not own it. "This can't be real," she whispered, then beeps. From downstairs, she ran back down. The fridge was off, microwave blank, power gone. She grabbed her phone, no signal, tried the landline, dead, Wi-Fi offline. Heart pounding, she grabbed the front door handle. It wouldn't budge. The key didn't fit. "No!" she gasped, rattling the handle. "No, no, no!" Someone had changed the lock. A knock at the back door made her jump. She raced through the house. Maybe Henry came back. Maybe this was all a joke. But through the glass stood 3 movers in uniforms. "What do you want?" she snapped. "Here for pickup," one said. "Everything owned by Ridgepoint Holdings." "Nothing here's yours." The man showed her a screen. "We've got orders. Everything except clothes and personal stuff goes." He handed her a paper. "If you try to stop us, we call the cops. You can stay and watch or not." She stood, stunned, as they moved in. They took the couch she loved, the table she bragged about, the bed she'd slept in last night. All of it. Wrapped, loaded, gone. As the movers worked, it hit her. Henry wasn't broke, no way. A broke man couldn't pull this off. The doorbell rang. She rushed to open it, praying it was someone who could fix all this. It wasn't. "Veronica," Sophia gasped. "Thank God. Something awful's happening. They're taking the house, everything." "I know," Veronica said flatly, arms crossed, sunglasses still on. "It's all over the neighborhood chat. Sophia Ford, kicked out of a house she never owned. Real drama." "You're not gonna help?" Sophia blinked. Veronica took off her shades. Her eyes were cold. "Why should I? After how you treated Henry? What are you talking about? He's a loser." Veronica laughed hard. "Jesus, you still don't get it." "Get what?" "Henry Ford, CEO, founder of Nexus Logistics, worth millions." Sophia's mouth dropped. "No, he makes like 70 grand a month." "Try 700. That's just what's on the books," Veronica said. "Turns out your loser husband owned all of this, and you treated him like trash." Movers walked past, carrying her crystal set. She didn't even look. "How do you know all this?" she whispered. "Everyone does," Veronica said. "You think we invited you to parties for you? We wanted Henry there. David respected him. You were a joke." She checked her watch. "I have lunch downtown. Don't call me. We're done." She walked off, heels clicking, and drove away in her luxury car. Sophia stood in the doorway of a life that wasn't hers anymore. She'd pushed away the man who gave her everything. Now she had nothing. Henry stood by the window in his penthouse, staring out at Charlotte's skyline. Part of it now his, thanks to his deals. The place was sleek, hardwood floors, designer furniture, big art pieces, all wired to a smart system. This was his real life. The private elevator chimed. Kellen Graves walked in. "She's out," he said. "Movers wrapped it in under 2 hours. Clean job." Henry didn't turn. "The locks?" "Changed at sunrise. Cameras at every door. We're watching everything." "My shoulder's healing," Henry added, rotating it. "You get photos?" "Yep, Doc signed off. Footage shows me hurt when I got to the penthouse." "No charges?" Kellen asked. "Not yet." Henry poured coffee. She twisted. "Make me the bad guy. That's not the plan." "What is the plan?" "I want her to sit with it, feel what I felt. Pressing charges would be too fast. I want slow pain, the kind that sticks." He handed Kellen a mug and sat down. "Losing the house was just step one. You've been prepping this a while, huh?" "At first it was a test," Henry said. "Kept my money quiet. I hoped she loved me for me." "She didn't?" "Nope. She failed." "And now?" Kellen raised his cup. "Now I'm not just ending a marriage, I'm cleaning up a mistake." They sat quietly for a moment. "Board meeting's at 11, Kellen said. "Europe deal's on the table." Henry nodded. "Have Thomas bring the car at 10:30. Kellen studied him. "You seem lighter." "I feel it," Henry said. "Pretending to be less than I am, just to keep the peace, was eliminating me. That mask is off now." "So what's next?" Henry sipped his coffee. "She'll panic, try to call friends, family. None of them will help. They saw this coming. Then she'll come looking for me. That's when the real lesson starts." "You've thought it all through." "I've had time." He stood, walked back to the window. She thought quiet meant weak. That being patient meant I'd never act. He looked at his reflection, calm, unshaken. She's about to learn the difference. Kellen joined him. "And when it's all gone, when there's nothing left for her?" Henry's voice was steady. "And she's just a name I'll remember as a warning. Never mistake looks for character." Morning light bounced off the Charlotte skyline. Henry stood at the window of his penthouse, watching the city. In the glass, he didn't see the small man Sophia used to mock. He saw the man he really was, the one she never bothered to know. The burn on his shoulder? Worth it. He was free now. Back in the suburbs, Sophia sat on the front steps of the empty house. The foreclosure signs stabbed the lawn like a warning. Movers were gone. All she had was one suitcase and a few things they hadn't taken. Her phone had no service. The key didn't work anymore. Curtains across the street stayed shut. She needed help. She needed someone. She grabbed her things and started walking, 6 blocks to Brielle's house, her best friend for years. Shopping, gossip, venting about their husbands. If anyone would open the door, it was Brielle. Each step felt heavier. Maybe Veronica had told the truth. Maybe Henry had money all along. Had she mocked a man who could have given her everything? No, it had to be some sick joke. He was just mad about last night. This would blow over. Brielle's perfect house came into view. Sophia rang the bell, setting her bag down. The door opened. Brielle's smile dropped. "Sophia," she said flat. "Didn't expect you." "Brielle, thank God. Everything's falling apart. Henry locked me out. Shut off everything. They took the house." "I know," Brielle said. She didn't move. "It's in the group chat." Everyone's talking about it. What group chat? Neighborhood chat. They're all saying Henry finally hit his limit. Limit? They think he was the sufferer? Sophia blinked. He's the one who... Who what? Brielle cut in. Paid for everything? Let you buy designer crap while he worked nonstop? Took your snide comments in front of everyone? Sophia's face went red. You don't get it. He was just a nobody, Brielle scoffed. Henry Ford is one of the richest men in Charlotte. Everyone knew that. Veronica said that too, but it can't be true. We lived in a basic house. Old car. That's what he wanted, Brielle said. He tested you. You failed. Sophia's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? He asked us not to. He wanted to see if you'd love him for him. You didn't? I just need a place to crash, please. Just a few days. No. Brielle didn't even blink. I've watched you tear him down for years. I said nothing because he asked me to. But I've had enough. We're friends, Sophia said, desperate. We're friends, Brielle replied. Before money mattered more than people. She started to shut the door. Try Veronica. Brielle, wait. But the door closed. Sophia stood there, stunned. One more door shut. One more person done with her. She walked away, head high, even as neighbors peeked from behind curtains. Her fall was now a public show. A hotel. Impossible. Her cards were frozen. No money left. She had one option left. Veronica. 2 hours and 3 declined rideshare apps later, Sophia stood at the gates of her sister's massive house in Myers Park. 10,000 square feet of marble and crystal. The same house she used to envy. She pressed the call button. Yes, came Veronica's voice. It's me, Sophia said. Can we talk? A pause. Then the gate opened. Sophia dragged her suitcase up the long driveway. By the time she reached the door, Veronica was there, arms crossed. Well, she said. Didn't expect this day to come so soon. I need somewhere to stay, Sophia said, keeping calm. Just for now. And why would I help you? Veronica asked. After all the times you looked down on me? Acted like your life was better? I never looked down on you, Sophia muttered. Oh, please, Veronica said. Every trip I took, every nice thing I bought, you'd act like I was shallow, but it was just jealousy, wasn't it? Sophia dropped her eyes. Yeah, I was jealous. I'm sorry. Obviously, Veronica said. Now you're here, asking for help. I have nowhere else. Veronica stared at her, then slowly stepped aside. You can stay in the guest house. For now. Relief washed over Sophia. Thank you. I won't be a burden. You already are, Veronica said. But hey, family's family, even when they're awful. Veronica led the way through her massive home. Sophia followed, trying not to stare at the marble floors, expensive furniture, and art that probably cost more than her whole wardrobe. There are rules, Veronica said over her shoulder. What kind of rules? You'll earn your stay. My housekeeper's on vacation. I need someone to cover. Sophia stopped. You want me to clean your house? Veronica turned with a cold smile. Take it or leave it. You want a roof? You work. Or find a shelter. Sophia's face burned, but she had nowhere else. Fine, she muttered. Good. Uniforms are in the guest house. You start at 7 a.m., I'll leave a list. Veronica walked on. And Sophia, if anything goes missing, I'll have you arrested. No warning. The guest house was nicer than most apartments. It had a small kitchen, bathroom, and open living space, but next to the main house, it felt small. Sophia dropped her suitcase on the bed. The weight of it all hit her again. Tomorrow, she'd be scrubbing toilets. She laughed, a short, shaky sound, then burst into tears. It was all too much. Less than a day ago, she had a house, a life, a future. Now, nothing. When the crying stopped, she sat on the little couch and stared at the yard. The sun was setting. She needed a break. In the corner sat a TV. She turned it on. Local news came on. She was about to change the channel, then froze. Henry. He stood at a podium in a sharp suit. The screen read, Henry Ford, CEO of Nexus Logistics Group. His voice was calm, strong. This partnership marks a $400 million expansion into Asia, he said. Nexus continues to lead in global supply chain solutions. Then the reporter's voice cut in. Ford, whose net worth tops $200 million, has quietly built one of Charlotte's biggest logistics firms over the past decade. Sophia stared. $200 million. The man she called a loser was rich beyond anything she'd imagined. She'd mocked him, screamed at him, thrown boiling water on him. And all this time, he'd been pretending, hiding the truth. The segment ended. She sat frozen. Then something clicked. She had to fix this, somehow. She stood. She'd find him, apologize, say whatever he needed to hear. She wasn't going to live like this. Not as a maid, not forgotten. Across the city, Henry sat at the head of a long table in a sleek glass boardroom. Behind him, the Nexus logo gleamed in silver and blue. Executives and board members watched him closely. They were finishing the agenda when he spoke. Before we wrap up, Henry said, there's one more item I'd like to bring up. An off-agenda opportunity. Kellen, next to him, gave a slight nod. Wexler Distributors, Henry said. He tapped his tablet. A logo and data appeared on the main screen. Family-run, in debt, outdated systems. People exchanged puzzled looks. With respect, said CFO Janet Coleman, Wexler doesn't fit our strategy. Their coverage overlaps ours. Their tech's a decade behind. You're right, Henry said. On paper, it's a bad fit. So why bring it up? Asked Marcus, head of strategy. Henry swiped to the next slide. It showed ownership details. Because Wexler is run by George Wexler, my former father-in-law. His nephew, Dylan, is ops manager. The room went quiet. Marcus raised an eyebrow. This a revenge play? No, Henry said coolly. It caught my eye because of the name. But the numbers speak for themselves. He flipped to asset maps. They own key hubs in cities we've targeted. Their clients include 3 government contracts we've wanted for years. Janet leaned forward. And your plan if we buy? Strip what's useful. Shut the rest. Reassign or cut staff. The brand's gone. And the Wexlers? Marcus asked. Henry's tone dropped. First to go. Their mismanagement is the problem. Kellen added, they're in deep. We can buy in for 60 cents on the dollar. Their loan's due soon. No cash, they fold. The room went quiet. Henry waited. No need to push. The numbers spoke for themselves. I say we move forward, Marcus said at last. Too good to pass up. I second, Janet added, but only if Henry stays out of the talks. Agreed, Henry said. I've already stepped back. Kellen will lead with legal and finance. The vote passed with no objections. As the others left, Kellen stayed. That went smoother than I thought, he said. You made it airtight. It's a smart buy, Henry replied. The personal side? Just a bonus. A big one, Kellen said, grinning. Taking Wexler Distributors would crush George Wexler, and it was well-deserved. Henry adjusted his tie. George raised Sophia to chase money and status. Now they'll both pay for it. What about Dylan? Kellen asked. He goes too, Henry said flatly. Overpaid, underqualified, and full of himself. His last name got him the job, not his skills. They walked toward Henry's private elevator. How fast can we close? Henry asked. Now that the board's in, fast. 2 weeks, maybe less, they're out of options. Do it, and make sure the press release says we're eliminating the Wexler name. I want that loud and clear. The elevator doors slid open. Any word on Sophia? Henry asked. She's at her sister's. Cleaning the house for room and board? A flicker of satisfaction crossed Henry's face. Good. Let me know once Wexler is locked in. I want the timing perfect. The elevator closed. Henry smiled to himself. Everything was falling into place. Sophia was finally feeling what it meant to lose, and her family was next. His shoulder still ached, a dull reminder of what she'd done. But this wasn't about rage anymore. It was justice. Cold, clean justice. She'd laughed at him for years. She wouldn't laugh again. He checked his watch. Meeting in 30 minutes. Japan deal. More growth. Revenge. Was just one of many projects in motion. 10 days later. George Wexler stood in Nexus's glass lobby, shoulders heavy. At 65, he looked years older than he had a week ago. Dylan, pacing nearby, was fuming. This is crap, Dylan muttered loud enough for staff to hear. He can't do this. He already did, George said quietly. We signed. It's over. We had no choice. He waited till we were broke. George sighed. That's business. We've done it too. Not to family, Dylan snapped. He's not family anymore, George said, looking at the clock. And he's making us wait on purpose. Right then, the elevator opened. Kellen stepped out, sharp suit, calm face. Mr. Wexler. Mr. Wexler, he greeted. Come with me. We'll go over the handover. We're here to see Henry, Dylan said, arms crossed. Mr. Ford's unavailable. I'm leading the transition, Kellen replied without missing a beat. He turned and walked back toward the elevator. George followed, pulling Dylan along. They entered a top-floor boardroom with floor-to-ceiling views. On one wall, Nexus Logistics. On the screen, Wexler Distributors, with a red slash through it. Have a seat, Kellen said. George sat. Dylan stayed standing. This is personal, Dylan said. It's because of Sophia. Kellen calmly set down his tablet. This was a board-approved deal, nothing personal, just business. Bull, Dylan snapped. He buys us out right after dumping Sophia? Come on. Nexus bought a failing company with valuable assets, Kellen said. Shall we discuss severance or keep arguing? George placed a hand on Dylan's arm. Let it go. Dylan dropped into a chair, jaw tight. Kellen continued. All Wexler family will be removed, effective today. You'll each get 2 months severance. 2 months? Dylan exploded. I've worked there my whole life. And lost market share every quarter, Kellen said coolly. Your record doesn't call for a bonus. George shut his eyes, humiliated. What about the other staff? He asked. They'll be reviewed, Kellen said. Some may be offered jobs here, others will get standard severance. So you're gutting the Wexlers, Dylan said. We're removing bad management, Kellen replied. It's not our fault every Wexler on payroll fits that description. Kellen slid 2 folders across the table. These are your severance papers. You'll need to sign them before you leave to get your payout. There's also an NDA, just standard. You can't talk about the deal or you're firing. George picked up his folder with shaky hands. Can I ask you something, Mr. Graves? Kellen nodded. Go ahead. Did Henry ever say why? Not the business reasons, I know those. I mean the real reason. Kellen looked at him for a moment. Mr. Ford doesn't have to explain his choices. But if you're asking whether your daughter's behavior made him look closer at your company's weak spots, I think you already know the answer. George nodded slowly. His worst fear was confirmed. She ruined us. No, Kellen said. You did that yourselves with bad management. But yeah, Sophia didn't help. He stood. I'll give you a minute to look everything over. Notary's in the next room when you're ready. As he walked out, Dylan leaned toward George. We can fight this. There's got to be a way. There's not, George said flatly. It's done. The company, my retirement, your job, it's all gone. And unlike Sophia, we don't have a rich sister to bail us out. 6 floors up, in his office, Henry watched the live security feed. George looked broken. Henry didn't smile. He just watched. Calm. Focused. George was just another casualty. His phone buzzed. A message from Kellen. They're signing. George compliant, Dylan angry, no leverage. Sophia should hear soon. Henry typed back a short reply and turned to the next task. The Wexler deal would close, the brand erased, and the assets folded into Nexus. Business as usual. But for Sophia, scrubbing floors to survive, it would hit hard. One more bridge gone. One more lesson. And Henry? He was far from done. The Charlotte Business Gala was the biggest event of the year. Held at the Westwood Hotel, it brought together the city's power players for a night of flash, networking, and awards. Henry Ford adjusted his tux and stood near the entrance, nodding as people congratulated him. Tonight, he'd win the Innovator of the Year award, recognition for taking Nexus Logistics global. Big crowd, Kellen said, glancing around. Every name in town's here, Henry replied, then smirked. Plus a few extras. Across the room, Veronica and her husband David chatted with the mayor. Didn't expect them, Kellen said. Oh, Veronica wouldn't miss a photo op, Henry muttered, taking a glass of champagne. Any sign of our guest? He asked. Kellen checked his phone. Yeah, security says a woman matching her look tried to get in. Said she's your wife. Henry stayed calm. And they're doing what I told them? They'll let her in after making her wait. Publicly. Kellen gave him a look. You sure about this? It's going to be a scene. That's the idea, Henry said. Sophia lives for attention. Tonight, she'll get it, but not the kind she wants. All around, the city's elite mingled. Suits, gowns, handshakes. Henry moved easily through it all, smiling, making deals. But he kept his eyes on the doors. When Sophia finally walked in, he saw her instantly, though he didn't react. 3 weeks of cleaning floors had worn her down. Her dress was nice, but probably borrowed. Her face was tense, makeup unable to hide the strain. She scanned the room, looking for him. Target spotted, Kellen said under his breath. Want me to step in? No, Henry said. Let her come. Everything's ready. He slipped away from the group he'd been talking with and moved toward the windows, out of the crowd's center. Now it was her turn. It didn't take her long to find him. Sophia cut across the ballroom like a storm cloud dressed in silk, eyes flicking, calculating. When she finally reached him, she paused, delicate, unsure, all fake. Henry clocked it instantly. Same walk she used when she'd maxed out the card. Same trembling lip from every fight she started and pretended not to. Henry, she said, soft like breath. Thank you for letting me in. I wasn't sure if... He stared. Nothing on his face but the echo of patience run dry. She pushed on. You look incredible. And congratulations on the award. I always knew you'd... Don't! His voice landed like a backhand, flat, cold. Don't pretend you ever gave a damn. Sophia swallowed. Can we just talk? Please? Just a few minutes. There's been a terrible... Misunderstanding? He cut in, sharp. Is that what we're calling it now? You launched a pot of boiling water at me, Sophia. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That was attempted manslaughter with kitchenware. She flinched, eyes darting. People were watching now. I was angry, Henry. You just showed up. After everything? After everything? His laugh was low and bitter. You mean after you called me a worthless bum and kicked me out of a house I paid for, that everything? I didn't know who you were, she said quickly. Not really. If you had known I was rich, he cut in again, leaning in just enough for her to smell the steel on his breath. You would have kissed my A instead of burning my skin off it. Got it. Tears formed in her eyes, but he knew the trick. He'd seen better acting in detergent commercials. I messed up, I did. But people make mistakes, and they can grow. They can come back from them. Henry's jaw flexed. Then, louder, forgiveness is for kids and priests. You and I were past prayers. Kellen appeared behind him, subtle as ever. Henry gave a nod. Kellen tapped his phone. The big screens meant for corporate applause flickered. The ballroom dimmed. Then came the footage, dated, clear as day. Their kitchen. Sophia screaming, Henry backing off, the pot, the water, the burn, his gasp. Then the audio dropped like a bomb. Beggar who can't work! Get out of my house and never show your face again! Gasps. 1 or 2 glasses clinked onto tables. The screen froze on Sophia, wild-eyed, teeth bared, pot still in hand. Veronica muttered from across the room, Jesus Christ. Sophia stared up at herself, like she didn't recognize the demon on screen. Her lips moved, but nothing came out at first. Then, that's not... You weren't supposed to... Henry stepped closer, loud enough for the entire ballroom to hear. Wasn't supposed to what, Sophia? Get caught, or wasn't supposed to matter? Silence fell like a dropped chandelier. I didn't come to humiliate you, he said, voice slicing through the hush. I came to collect an award for a business you swore I'd never build. The same one you said I wasn't smart enough, strong enough, man enough for. He turned to the crowd. For anyone wondering why she's here tonight, don't. I didn't invite her. She walked in like she always has, uninvited and unrepentant. 2 security guards appeared, big, suited, silent. Henry nodded. Gentlemen. The guards moved in, professional but with no patience for protest. Sophia stepped back, eyes wide now for real. You can't do this to me, she spat. I'm your goddamn wife. Ex, Henry corrected smooth. Finalized this morning. You'll get the paperwork tomorrow. You didn't contest it because you had nothing. No prenup, no stake, no shot. One of the guards gently took her arm. She tried to jerk away. You'll regret this, she hissed. You think you've won? This isn't over. I swear to God I will ruin you. Henry leaned in, almost smiling. You already tried, and you failed. Miserably. Then he stepped back, straightened his cuffs, and said it loud. Use the service exit, Sophia. It suits you. As Sophia was let out, the ballroom buzzed with whispers. Henry gave a nod, and the screens flipped back to the regular gala program. The moment passed, but the damage stuck. Veronica and David approached slowly. Henry, Veronica began. I didn't know she planned to come. I would have stopped her. It's fine, Henry said calmly. Sophia made her choices. Now she's living with them. Veronica lowered her voice. That video? You've had it this whole time? I kept everything, Henry replied. Every insult, every moment. Tonight was just one piece of it. David cleared his throat. She's been working for us, as I'm sure you already knew. After this, well, it might be best if she found somewhere else. Henry nodded. Do what you need. She's no longer my problem. As they walked off, Kellen joined him again. Perfect timing, he said. Her name's done in this town. Henry took a sip of champagne. So is her last chance at fixing anything. The gala rolled on, but now the room was humming with the fallout. When Henry took the stage to accept his award, the crowd erupted in applause. Not just for his work, but for how he'd handled what had just happened. Nobody said it out loud, but everyone in that room respected power. And Henry had just shown it. His speech was short, cool, and focused. No gloating, just clean, quiet victory. Under the tux, his burn scar barely ached now, but he wouldn't forget it was there. Outside, the cold night air hit Sophia like a slap. Her heels caught on the pavement as she stumbled down the back stairs. Behind her, the hotel doors shut with a soft thud, cutting her off from the world she used to belong to. Security had been calm but firm, leading her through the kitchen. Staff stared. A woman in a gown getting thrown out? That was hard to miss. Her cheeks burned. Her eyes were wet. She'd been so sure this would work that Henry wouldn't dare humiliate her in front of all those people, that she could fake regret and get him back. But he'd planned this, the video, the public takedown, the divorce announcement, done behind her back. Now she was outside, alone. No ride, no working phone, no one to call. Veronica had brought her to the event after a lot of begging and promises. And now? Probably already pretending she didn't know her. She started walking. The heels dug into her feet. Uptown Charlotte to Myers Park was 5 miles. It'd take hours. Damn you, Henry, she muttered, wiping her face. Damn you. She'd only made it a few blocks when a black SUV pulled up beside her. The window rolled down. Veronica, get in, she said flatly. You've done enough damage tonight. Sophia paused, pride flickering, but she was cold, tired, and had no choice. Where's David? She asked as she got in. Still at the gala. I said I needed to clean up this mess. Her voice made it clear who the mess was. They drove in silence. Traffic rolled by. The tension was thick. Finally, as they turned onto Veronica's street, Sophia spoke. He set me up. He wanted to shame me. No, Veronica snapped. You did that all by yourself. Henry just stopped covering for you. That video, it wasn't how it looked. I was upset. He provoked me. Veronica let out a bitter laugh. Provoked by what? Him staying quiet while you belittled him. By him not telling you he was rich so he could see the real you. Sophia stayed silent. They pulled into the driveway. Veronica parked but didn't get out right away. Tonight was it, she said. David and I agreed. It's time you left. Sophia stared. Wait, you're kicking me out? I am, Veronica said. We have businesses to protect, a name to keep clean. We can't be tied to this mess. I'm your sister, and I gave you a roof, but enough's enough. What am I supposed to do? Sophia's voice cracked. There's $500 on the bed, Veronica said. Use it for a cheap motel. You've got till morning to pack. A motel? Sophia snapped. While you live in a mansion? Veronica turned to her, cold and sharp. You threw boiling water at your husband, a man who gave you everything and asked for nothing but respect. And since you came here, you've been nothing but dead weight. She opened her door, then added without looking back, the locks change tomorrow. Don't come back. Sophia sat stiff in the passenger seat, her brain barely keeping up with how fast her life had fallen apart. Just a few weeks ago, she was living comfortably as a suburban housewife. Now, she was crashing in her sister's guest house with no money, no plan, and no clue what the hell came next. Homeless? Maybe. Flat out broke? Almost. She finally dragged herself to the guest house, each step heavier than the last. Inside, right on the bed, sat $500 in cash and a small suitcase. Not hers. Veronica had clearly packed it for her. Just enough room for the basics. Everything else? Left behind. Message was loud and clear. Take what fits. The rest? Not your problem anymore. Sophia sat down, staring at the stack of bills. It was the most cash she'd held in years, and it wouldn't even last a week. Reality smacked her hard. No house, no husband, no job, no friends. Even her own sister had tossed her out. All because she fell for Henry's act, that he was lazy, a loser, someone she could look down on. She clung to that idea like a lifeline, blaming him for everything she hated about her life. It let her feel better than him, justified her cruelty. And now? She had jack crap. No one left to blame. She started packing with robotic movements. Most of the clothes were cheap, functional things she'd bought for cleaning around Veronica's place. A far cry from the high-end labels she used to wear. As she folded a plain white blouse, a bitter laugh slipped out. She'd spent years mocking people who worked minimum-wage jobs, who scraped by check to check. Now she was one of them, minus the skills, the hustle, or the work ethic. She'd earned every inch of this fall. Morning came way too soon. Sleep had been impossible, her head spinning with dead-end plans and old regrets. She rolled the suitcase out to the main house, hoping maybe, just maybe, Veronica would change her mind. But the house was locked. Lights out. Nobody home. On the front step sat an envelope. Inside, a bus pass and a note. Veronica's perfect handwriting cutting like a blade. This is the last help you'll get from me. Don't reach out again. Swallowing back the sting, Sophia walked down the driveway toward the main road. She caught the next bus heading downtown with zero idea where she was going. Maybe a cheap motel. That was about all she could afford. But after that? Look for a job? Who was going to hire a middle-aged woman with no resume, no skills, and nothing to offer but years of judging other people? The bus cruised through Charlotte, shifting from picture-perfect Myers Park to the more beaten-up parts of the city. Sophia just stared out the window, watching the scenery change from polished to patched up. She got off near a strip of motels she'd never have looked twice at in her old life. Now she was sizing them up like a survival game. How many nights could she squeeze out of $500? Victory Inn was the cheapest, and it looked the part. The paint was peeling, the neon sign barely worked. At the front desk, a bored guy scrolled his phone. "You need a room?" he asked without looking up. "Weekly rate," Sophia said, trying to keep her voice steady. He slid a form across the counter. "ID and credit card for the deposit." "I'll pay cash," she said, fingers curling around the bills in her purse. "And I don't have ID right now. It got stolen." The clerk finally gave her a good look. Messy hair, designer clothes wrinkled from sleeping in them, heels scuffed from walking. "Cash means $50 deposit. No ID, you gotta pay the full week up front," he said. Sophia didn't argue, just handed him the money. Nearly half of it, gone in seconds. He handed her a real metal key, none of that electronic card stuff, and pointed down the hall. "Room 114, checkout's 11 sharp. No refunds, no excuses." The room was just as sad as she expected. Bed sagged in the middle. Carpet was older than her. Bathroom smelled like mold and despair. But it was a roof, for now. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the water-stained wall, and it all hit her again. Henry hadn't just walked out. He'd taken her whole damn life apart. One piece at a time. The house, the stuff. Her social standing, her family ties, her pride, all gone. And he'd planned every move. 3 months later, Henry Ford stood on the balcony of his new estate, right in the same neighborhood where he used to live with Sophia. Except now it wasn't a house. It was a top-tier spa for the city's rich and powerful, completely remodeled, luxe as hell. The sleek black sign at the entrance read, "Ford's Revenge Spa and Wellness Retreat." Kellen walked out beside him, handing him a glass of whiskey. "Big turnout tonight," he said, glancing down at the valet line packed with expensive cars and designer shoes. Henry smirked. 3-month wait list already. The committee's being picky on purpose. Kellen grinned. "I saw Veronica and David didn't make the cut, neither did the Wexlers or anyone who felt bad for Sophia." Henry shrugged. "This isn't just a business. It's personal." "Well, it's profitable too," Kellen added. "Property value tripled since the makeover." Henry took a sip, his eyes scanning the crowd. "Good. Let me see what I built without her." Henry barely heard Kellen. His gaze was fixed on the sidewalk below, locked onto a woman pushing a busted-up shopping cart packed with random junk, blankets, plastic bags, a broken umbrella. Even from the top-floor balcony, he knew exactly who it was. Sophia. She looked nothing like the woman he'd once married. The high-end clothes? Gone. Now she was wrapped in layers of worn-out thrift store rags. Her hair, once styled like she lived at the salon, hung flat and greasy. She walked slow, like her body had given up before her mind had. She stopped at the edge of the property, staring up at the place that used to be their home, now remodeled and rebranded into Ford's Revenge Spa. Fitting. Henry watched, deadpan, as she lingered there with a paper cup in her hand, asking for spare change from anyone who came close. Most people ignored her. Some crossed the street to avoid her entirely. The same woman who used to scoff at those people was now right there with them, broke, alone, begging on the sidewalk of the city she once thought she'd own. "She's back," Kellen said, following his line of sight. "That's the third time this week. Yeah, I know. She's hoping you'll see her, maybe feel bad." Henry took a sip of whiskey, rolled it on his tongue, then swallowed. "She's wasting her time," Kellen raised an eyebrow. "The staff's asking if they should call the cops, loitering and all that." Henry watched her for a few more seconds as she tried again, approaching a man who immediately picked up the pace. "No? Leave her," he said, voice calm. "Let her look. Let her stand there and watch everything she could have had. Let her sit in it." Kellen nodded. He wasn't surprised. "So," he said, shifting gears, "Europe's ahead of projections. Asia's booming. Nexus is eliminating it. Everything's green. Lights." Henry finally looked away from Sophia and turned toward the city skyline stretching out in front of them. He breathed in deep. "You know what I like most?" he said. "That I never had to forgive her. Never had to forget. I just outlived the damage, and I won." Down on the street, Sophia paused, eyes scanning the building, like she felt him watching. Their eyes met across the distance, hers hollow and tired, his cold and steady. Then Henry blinked and looked away. Just like that, she was gone from his mind, the same way she'd been erased from his life. He had other things to focus on, bigger things, empire-level things. Sophia? She was just a chapter he'd closed. Kellen reached for the whiskey decanter. "Another?" "Yeah," Henry said, settling back into a cushioned chair. "And when Thomas gets here, tell him to bring the quarterly reports. I want to look before the board meets tomorrow." As the sun dipped behind the Charlotte skyline, casting a warm, golden glow across the city he now ruled, Henry Ford let himself feel something close to peace. Not because Sophia was down there suffering. He hadn't built his empire for revenge. That part just happened on its own. No, the real win was simple. He'd proven exactly who he was. To the world, to her, and to himself.